shot it at me. Went right over the top of my head. I could see them. I could see them all kneel down. They all had rifles. I had a BAR, Browning automatic rifle. I picked it up, boom, 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 boom. Threw another clip in, and I killed him.
Warning, the frontline testimony you're about to hear is, at times, extremely graphic. The realities of war are often difficult, but it is vitally important that these stories are told and the lessons are learned. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, my name is William P. Gosch. Happened on a Sunday morning. And I was down cellar in my house, and my father came over to the cellar stairs, and he yells down, he says, "Bill," he says, "the Japs just bombed Pearl Harbor." I says, "Where's Pearl Harbor?" He says, "I don't know." I guess we went up and looked at a map of Honolulu, and there's a little dot on the map, Pearl Harbor. And of course, as a result of that, why things started to change. I graduated from high school, and they were recruiting men for the military service, obviously, at that time. I didn't get in the Marine Corps until December of 1942. My youngest brother served in the Army. I had two other brothers served in the Navy. I was the oldest. The others are all gone. And of course, I was in the Marine Corps. I went to Parris Island through the training of the Marine Corps. Went to post troops in New River, North Carolina, and down in New Caledonia, which is down near New Zealand. This is a diploma that was given to me when we crossed the equator, and it changed me from a pollywog to a, what was it? Shellback? I forgot the word. But this was given on board ship, and then we went to Guadalcanal and continued training there. And then we joined the Marine Corps, the second Raiders, Carlson's Raiders, which had had previous experiences. But anyhow, we went into Bougainville, and Bougainville was jungle. I mean jungle. The big thing I remember about Bougainville was the parrots. God, big, colorful, green and yellow and blue and red, all different kind of parrots flying around like sparrows around here. God, I'll never forget it. And I carried a Thompson submachine gun. We had 3-man fire teams at that time. BAR, Browning automatic rifle, M1 rifle, and a Thompson submachine gun. And we, the 3 men, literally lived together. It was a fire team, what we call. Well, I tried to shoot the birds down with my with my Thompson submachine gun. Never hit any. And an earthquake on Bougainville. Well, boy, that was an experience. You're out in the middle, and you can't see 3, 5, 8 feet, 10 feet in front of you. Leaves, limbs, vines, everything all around. And everything starts shaking. And the limbs come flying down. It only lasted 15, 20, 25 seconds, this earthquake. That was quite an experience. You got no place to go, no place to run, nothing. You're just out there and all this stuff is coming down around you. See, we went back to Guadalcanal, did more training, and then we went to Guam. Well, that was a different experience. And that's a day that I'll never forget. I think the name of the ship was the George F. Elliott. And I got it in my booklet there. It doesn't matter. Anyhow, we went down the ropes. Got on board the landing craft. And there's ships all over the place. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, God knows what, all over the horizon. And here are the Japanese Zeros, Kamikazes, hitting the ships. Boom. Rockets, bombs, everything's, oh God, everything is going. What an experience. Planes come flying over, dropping bombs on the island. Everything. And I'm talking to some guy. I have no idea who he was. The front of the landing craft drops down. He and I jump off. We landed probably in water, knee deep, maybe up to your thigh a little bit. And I looked, and here he is laying in the water face down. I looked at him. I had to keep on going. Well, we were probably, I don't know, it doesn't matter, 50 feet off of the shoreline. We went through the water and up, and everybody else is coming up, and everything going. So we get up on the beach, and here's what they call a hummock. Well, the beach, sand, and then pretty soon the trees and bushes start up from the sand. That's what they call it. Well, I get up there and I'm looking at this hummock and I can't get through it because it's so dense. And everybody's running all over. So I ran down the beach. I don't know, 25, 30, 50 feet. I don't know how long, doesn't matter. All of a sudden, a voice says, "Stop." Loud and clear in my head. "Stop." And I stopped. And with that, I look, and here's bullets hitting the sand. Right, if I had taken another step forward, I wouldn't be here today. I said, "Thank you, God." And I turned and ran up to this hummock, and I sat down and I prayed. I turned around, found a place through, got up and went on with our assault. We advanced. I don't know if I fired at him. I saw him up on the hills. I'd shoot. You didn't know if you killed him or not. We got up inland someplace or another. Now, you got to remember, I'm a PFC in the Marine Corps. They don't tell you nothing. You just follow the guy in front of you. We got up there. Dug foxholes. Then came the rats. At night. And the goddamn things would get in the back of your knees or in your crotch or in your armpit, and they curl up. Rats. And they were all over. We were in Guam for, I don't know how long. God, I forgot. Month, maybe 3 weeks. I simply forgot. Then we went back to Guadalcanal again. We stayed there for a while. Here again, I can't tell you how long or how much. Did more training. In the interim, they dissolved. They didn't dissolve the Raiders. They consolidated the Raiders, I think, into the 22nd Marine Regiment, which became a part of the 6th Marine Division. And we landed on Okinawa. We landed at Yantan Airfield. There was nobody there. So we advanced, probably, I can't tell you, mile and a half, 2 miles. I have no idea, no memory. Till we started running into going up the hills, and Japanese are starting to shoot at us. Killed one woman. She was running across the road, but she was carrying a rifle. And at that point, I didn't know if it was a he or a she. Didn't make any difference. Bingo. Went out the next morning, and sure enough, here it is, a woman. Japanese. She had a hat on. I kept her hat, and it's around here someplace. A hat that the sides come down on it. It had fur on it. Thing with an anchor on the top of it. I thought that's pretty nice. I'll keep that. And I kept it. And it's somewhere around here, I think. You know what a clicker is? What's a clicker? Cricket. A little bit of a child's toy. They gave us crickets, and then we moved at night. Somewhere, I don't know where. I follow the guy in front of me. But every once in a while, you'd click the clicker to let people around you know where they were and where you were. I remember that. And I'm sure we went behind what you might call the enemy line, for lack of a better term, to get from one place to another without being observed. Turned down a Purple Heart. On Okinawa. I'm kneeling down, God knows where. My knees down on the ground. And all of a sudden, bang, right on my knee, lands a piece of shrapnel. About that big. It burned. I took my hand and squished it off. Felt like somebody hit me with a baseball bat. And along come a corpsman. Corpsman is a naval medical person. Where he came from, I don't know. But he come running up to me, he says, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well," he says, "you was hit by enemy fire. Do you want a Purple Heart? Purple Heart." I said, "No, give it to somebody else that needs it." I didn't know. Today, they pay you money if you have a Purple Heart. Yeah. At that time, I didn't even know what a Purple Heart was. We're near Naha. Naha was the capital of Okinawa. And Naha was about as flat as this carpet is from our bombs. We had bombed Naha, and there was nothing left of it, all just rubble. Well, we were on a rice paddy. Rice paddies, they go on different levels, up and down hills, and of course, rice takes water. So we're on one of these knobs on the rice paddies. At night, and all of a sudden, up goes a flare, some way off in the distance. Well, these flares light up everything. And I looks, and here's a whole line of Japanese soldiers coming along. And when the flare went up, I can see them, they all went down on their knee. Whole line of them, 9 of them. One of these guys had a very pistol, and he shot it at me, went right over the top of my head. About that far. Boom. Never forget it. I had a BAR, Browning automatic rifle. I picked it up, boom, 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 boom. Threw another clip in. BAR, I think, carried 15 rounds. Doesn't matter. Boom. And by that time, the flare is pretty much gone out. And I killed them. I could see them. I could see them all kneel down. They all had rifles. I got one of the rifles that I kept. Got a flag here from one of them. Big Japanese flag with all their names on it. But that was that. But I'll never forget it. Caves on Okinawa. A lot of them. Seen them come out with their hands up. Women, children come out of caves. Used to throw grenades in whether there was somebody in there or not. Here's a cave over there, and you don't know if somebody's in there or not. But you don't want them to come out and shoot you, so you are one step ahead of them. Flamethrower come over, guy carrying a flamethrower come over and psst, give it a shot of, they're pretty big, pretty big amount of flame that comes out of them. One woman, I'll never forget her. Somehow her hand got shot off and she stood there. Her hand is hanging down by something or other, cords or something. And she's apparently trying to stop the blood. And there she was. We got a corpsman and a jeep, and they loaded her on, took her back to sick bay or someplace to native. But I won't forget. And she was just as stoic in her expression. No sense of hurt, if I could use that. We got into another farmhouse or some kind of a building. We stayed there the night. And that morning, bing, 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 bing. You could see the pattern of these mortar shells that are coming in our direction. You could sense it, bing, bing, bing. Well, we packed up pretty quick. We came kind of up a little kind of a hill, something or other. And all of a sudden, the mortar shells stopped, and the Japanese come around this way. One come out and he stood there. Well, I shot him. Oh, distance-wise, 50 yards, quite a distance. Not long, but, and I know I hit him because he kind of went off like that. And with that, I turned around, ran, because we didn't know how many more was, and we were pretty well dispersed ourselves. I was kind of alone. The rest of the guys were someplace. So after shooting him, I kind of got up and got with our guys. One night, we got a foxhole. Over there someplace, we'd see a light go on. Guy was smoking, and you draw on a cigarette, lights up. Huh? Well, we couldn't see him doing this, but I could see this light come on every 30 seconds or something with a cigarette. And he did that so far, and that was the end of him. Get out the next morning, and there's 2 feet laying outside of the fox, or outside of the cave. I've seen a lot of dead Japanese. They're dead Japanese. Wherever they were expired. A lot of skeletons. The worst thing, you probably have never smelled, but the worst thing is a decaying human body. The stench is tremendous. Terrible. And it wasn't uncommon when you get around a cave that you could smell these guys that had been killed sometime prior through God knows what reason. And the sun obviously decayed the body much quicker, and it was a terrible experience to smell these guys that were gone. And when we'd shoot somebody, there was shell holes all around, mortar shells or God knows what kind of. We'd throw their bodies in a shell hole and take a couple of shovels full of dirt and throw on them just to, so they wouldn't stink, be it what it may. But that's what we did. Our men were instantly removed. I mean, they just didn't lay there a few minutes, 10 minutes maybe, not long. No, we took very good of our dead. We were the general killed on Okinawa. Closest I ever got to a general, about 3-4 feet. He was in a Jeep. After they killed him, they put him in a Jeep and took him back offline. What the hell was his? Buckner. General Buckner. That's the closest I ever got to a general. Standing there and watching him go by in a Jeep, dead. But I've seen them blow themselves up. Japanese. Hold a pack to them, the arms and legs go flying all over it. This was particularly on Okinawa. And here again down toward Naha, where I saw this happen. Here again on a rice paddy, and rice paddies are all over, so, and I have to presume, I didn't, but it was distance-wise quite a long ways. Let me say, quarter of a mile distance, quite a way. We're up here and they're down here. and all of a sudden you'd see the arms and legs. You knew they were blowing themselves up because all the parts come sailing up in the air, and you saw this. I saw it 2 or 3 times that somebody committed hara-kiri, killed themselves. They were fearful of getting captured, which was a thing that they instilled in their people and the civilians on Okinawa, that we would kill them. They instilled this fear of us on their part. Obviously, we wouldn't kill civilians knowingly. Somebody here again committed hara-kiri by jumping off a cliff. And there probably was their fear of being captured by us. The way it was. Then I got yellow jaundice on Okinawa. They shipped me back to Guadalcanal, and that's where I had ice cream. Your urine is about the color of coffee, and your feces are like rabbit turds, and you turn brown, kinda. But that was yellow jaundice, and I had it. And the cure for it is feed you. Oh, food, keep feeding you. And it went away. But the doctor told me, he says, don't ever give blood, because that yellow jaundice virus or germ stays in your system for the rest of your life. So I still have it, but so be it. That was yellow jaundice. Went through that. And came home from Guadalcanal, landed in San Francisco. I went up to the Naval Hospital in Oregon or Washington. There was a Naval Hospital that I went in. I was discharged from there at that time. Klamath Falls, Oregon is where I was discharged from after I was cleared of the jaundice thing. Got on the train someplace up there, and trains were packed with men, all men. I may have rode in between cars to get back here. I know I rode between cars someplace, but it was better than not being on the train. But that's the way it was. It was at the Buffalo terminal. My mother and father met me at the terminal in Buffalo. Still standing, but it's empty. But that's where the trains came in from the west. And they must have known that I was coming in. I don't know how, but we met at the terminal, and they got me in the car, and we came home. Yeah, it was over 2 years and 21 days. It ain't like today where they go over for 3 months or 5 months or something like that. You went over there and you stayed there for the duration. And I was over there 2 years, 21 days. Brings some reason or other. And, they were happy to see me. I remember, and I got a Marine Corps tattoo on my arm. And my dad was in the First World War. He was in the Army. But I can remember him kind of looking at it. War. And I've been through enough of it, be it what it may. was a terribly, terribly violent experience. You can't know until you do it. You can't realize the violence. The only term I can use that is done in the performance of a war. The magnitude, it's beyond comprehension. But there it was. And crazy bombs are going off, and oh God, violence, and you can see the airplanes chasing each other around in the sky, and I said the kamikazes that are, and you'd see airplanes come down, plunk in the water. The whole experience, violent. They were the enemy. I never thought about it till years later. And the reason I thought about it, I took the life probably 12 to 20 men somewhere. These guys never had a chance to reproduce children, and that bothered me. I think the ability to continue our human race is probably the most important single thing that any human being can do, and we know what it is. These guys were denied that, and I've thought of it in that vein. Young men, like you, like I was,